I dropped a hot take and a lot of y'all did not agree. And I wanted to apologize
to absolutely nobody.
I'm sorry that you can't come to the terms that the genre that you know and love, if not dying, is already dead. But at least we get to talk about it. Horror, especially this year, has been able to reach success and heights that has been able to surpass even other genres. Movies such as Sinners and Weapons.
Who knew that Michael B. Jordan and vampires would break the box office like this? To trending, to possibly being the movie of the year.
So if the industry is booming like this, why would I possibly even have a take like this?
And this could mean that horror is maybe transitioning into a different phase, or horror might be dying.
What you see, horror is dead. Metaphorically speaking. You see, the traditional way that the genre looked years ago has changed so much, and it has expanded into something so much bigger than a psychopath with a chainsaw. Your typical horror slasher films from the 80s and 90s, the flicks that popularized the genre, don't seem to be as popular now. And these type of slasher films, of course, they still exist and they are still being watched. But the gore, the violence, and the shock value of watching something so disturbing on your screen doesn't really seem like it's a main priority anymore. And we're talking about some of the biggest films from just this year alone. They aren't really scary. In the last 8 to 10 years, these type of films are being used to talk about social problems, the terrifying things that are happening in the real world, the scary idea of dealing with your personal emotions and trauma. Now, it may not even be clear what I mean when I say traditional horror, because the genre has literally changed decade by decade, but there is usually a common theme that you can connect to through each one. So let's briefly dive into the history of horror and take a glimpse into the past to see what exactly is even fading away.
The 1970s of horror is one of the golden ages of the genre out of the sheer amount of influential movies that came out during the decade. This was also a time when horror movies started to become increasingly more violent and graphic, leading to an influx in exploitation films. By the time that the 80s rolled around, technological advances finally caught up with horror. Movies were more visually visceral, and special effects became the forefront of films with gore and schlock.
When we talk about the nostalgia of horror, there is no greater decade than the 80s, with so many groundbreaking films such as Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Child's Play, The Shining, The Poltergeist. So many of these films are still relevant in pop culture today. The genre once again begins to expand with psychological thrillers, and while still keeping the slasher flicks alive like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, while also still being able to blend social commentary throughout the genre.
When we speak about traditional horror, there is one figure for the new era that has made it hard to ever go back to seeing horror movies the same. Another man that helped revolutionize cinema. A man that has made the level of expectations higher than ever before. And it forces us to go back to the great year of 2017. And back then, we thought it was just a great movie. But little did we know that Get Out was revolutionary. When we talk about horror, mainly thriller movies, Get Out is the epitome and the perfect example of how these type of films are supposed to work. Because not only is it a fresh idea, not only is it entertaining, not only is it suspenseful, but it was able to intertwine social and racial issues all in one movie.
It's hard to name a film more influential on the last decade of cinema than Get Out. Jordan Peele's directorial debut not only turned him into an acclaimed auteur overnight, it also completely revitalized the social horror subgenre. Since then, seems like Hollywood got the memo that the fast track to being considered a serious filmmaker is weaving social commentary into a genre film.
Did Jordan Peele ruin how we see horror? Because ever since this film, not only do I feel other directors have tried to emulate his success in their own way, but I myself search for the same suspense and excitement that Get Out brought. Jordan Peele is like Stephen Curry. Sure, there were others who were also shooting threes and were really good shooters, but because of what Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors were able to do, they became the method, showing people in other teams why not let it fly. Now, Jordan Peele, of course, is not the first person to do this, but his efforts definitely helped break the mold of what a horror movie is supposed to look like. And whether you think it's positive or negative, it is still an impact at the end of the day. I see Jordan Peele at the head of this charge of this new era of horror, because you honestly never know what you're going to get. You never truly know what to expect from this genre, because you never know what direction they could take. They could stick to tradition and add a new twist. They could bring a completely fresh idea and make it suspenseful. The directors are able to talk about these real world problems. I honestly don't see a limit to what they can do anymore. And this may not even be just towards the horror genre, because technology has gotten better. More money and production has been put into films, which is why I get a little frustrated with movies this year. Him, to me, was a great concept. Weapons was also really good. It, to me, was just one step away from it being a great film. I don't think Black Phone 2 was better than the first one, even though the first one had more plot holes than the second. But with this new era, with this endless opportunity, not only are the stakes higher, but so is the expectation. Jordan Peele is literally the perfect example of this. When you look at public perception of his movies, Get Out was phenomenal. Us was considered good, but not better than the first one, and kinda mixed reviews. Even though personally, if you go back and watch that film, it is a work of art, a masterpiece. And nope, it was a no for me, dog.
Definitely a no for me, dog. The voice is just not there.
And from here on out, anything that Jordan Peele even associates with, it is going to have so many eyes on it. And it's why I've been so tough on the genre this year, because it's been able to evolve so much more than just jump scare, a quick sex scene, and an evil entity.
Demon, ghost,
It seems like directors are taking more of a risk. They're using new ideas. There's been good movies this year, and I'm excited to see what's to come. What I'm trying to say is that Jordan Peele, for the new era, for today's era, was and is such a big piece in keeping horror relevant and changing the perception of what horror was and what it's supposed to be. And I know, the death of horror sounds like a bad thing, but it is only because it is evolving into something much bigger than it ever was. Because this death is the start of something new.